Morning, everybody. It is Thursday, September 19th, 2024, 8 in the morning. Let me ask you a question, guys. Can America be destabilized to the point of supplication? I don't believe we can. The way, even though right now America is probably as divided as it has ever been, I don't believe that even the divide that we have nowadays, I don't believe that even the divide from the Civil War was as deep and multifaceted as today's division. Although the division of the Civil War did bring bloodshed and war, today's division is so tumultuous and multifaceted that the reason it has not gone to blood in the streets and war is specifically because the division is not black and white. It's not red and blue. It's not man versus woman. It's not woman versus every quote unquote gender out there. It's not Kamala versus Trump. It's not America versus China. It's not America versus Russia. It's not America versus, the Muslim countries. It's not America versus drugs. It's not America versus cartels. It's all that. The problem is that Americans don't see a single target. That's why it hasn't come to blood in the streets. The one of the many things that actually work for America is America has subsystems. America has a federal government, a state government, a local government, and then local municipalities and family units. If the federal government was attacked, straight up, something happened in Washington, D.C., and the federal government was, crippled, states would revert back into would have their power kick in. Not that their power isn't already there, but they would assume individual power in the event of the federal government being crippled. State government, that's 50 whole states, guys. That's 50 whole targets. How do you take care of those? Well, it's very, very difficult. You have to be very, very coordinated. Lots of embedded and coordinated functions that unfortunately would be very difficult if not for this day and age, our ability to communicate with just the, small square device in our hand. But let's say the states go down. Municipalities would, or local governments would assume the roles. And there are a lot of those. And then all of a sudden you would, with those kind of coordinated strikes, individuals would begin taking control. They would be filling in gaps between the cities, filling in gaps between the municipalities, and things like that. You would have it. It's a bad word to use, but vigilantes would actually be probably working in coordination with the municipalities and local governments. So it would kick in, and it would, help each other. America has an interesting ability to self-right when attacked. Not all other countries out there have this ability. Americans can hate one another to the point where, spitting on each other, burning the American flag, just, it can get completely, insane around America. But allow something to attack an outside force, an identified outside force. We self-right, and we are all Americans, and we turn our eyes from our own petty squabbles and differences onto that enemy. It's that whole family dynamic where big brother can pick on little brother, or little sister or big sister can pick on little brother or little sister. But and they can have just, the most unhealthy relationship in the world, but let a bully come along and pick on little brother or little sister, and the shit goes down, and they fucked around and found out, and big brother or big sister whoop their ass. So it's that same dynamic in America. We can hate each other, and we can downplay each other, but don't let another country come in there and try to hurt somebody in America, and all of a sudden we turn our eyes towards that country, our eyes, and not only that, but our missiles and our military onto that country. So I hope that is still America. We have been so inundated with immigrants not assimilating. Back in the frontier days and days when, the Statue of Liberty was a thing and, immigrants, bring me your tire and your huddle masses and people just migrating here. They came here wanting to be Americans, not wanting to be whatever country they came from. They endeavored to embrace the language. They worked day and night to learn the language, to read the language, to speak the language, demanding their children not speak their native tongue, but speak American, speak English. We're Americans now. We've got people, and we're catering to them, guys. You go to the DMV and they don't have just English forms. We get, forms in Spanish and so forth and so forth. We have streets here in Houston that have Asian writing on their street signs. We have foreign invaders coming into our country through our southern border, not speaking English, not wanting to speak English, not wanting to be Americans. And I can't even say they're all Latin American. They're coming through the southern border, through Latin America, but they're not Latin Americans. We've got Muslims coming through, Chinese coming through there. We've got the whole rainbow coming through that southern border, guys. And yet, hard as we scream, there are invaders coming through our town. There's invaders coming in here. Back in the day when there was castles and city walls and stuff like that protected civilians and stuff like that, one of the things that armies would do before they would assault a castle or a city is weeks before their arrival, they would send scouts in. Unmarked people, no uniforms, no nothing, to come into the city to look at fortifications, to test the waters, and to blend in to the surroundings. Several weeks before the military would get there. So the population was used to them. When the military would get there and the castle was preparing to lock down, one of the scouts would be conveniently out of the city, and he would meet the army with tactical battle plans, strategies, and everything else like that. The other scouts would actually remain in the cities or castles for sabotage. They would poison wells. They would break trebuchets. They would disable fortifications and stuff, whatnot, and sow disarray. They would, create rumors throughout the population and stuff like that, and sow dissent amongst the population, and make it generally unpleasant inside of the castles and or behind the walls. Guys, the scouts are here from all over the world. Little pockets. Venezuelans eating animals. Al-Qaeda compounds in Texas. Cartels moving human trafficking through Houston and through California. And all over the country, guys. I guarantee you can't find a state, except for maybe Alaska and maybe Hawaii, that doesn't have a small cell of foreigners not assimilating, not taking, the American pledge and bleeding and parasiting onto the American welfare state and social services. And when the armies finally come to our shores, what are they going to do, guys? They're going to cut power lines. They're going to cut fuel lines. They're going to disrupt trucking. They're going to disrupt as much as they humanly can. They're going to sow dissent. They're going to use our freedom of speech to protest our own defense of our nation. There'll be riots in the streets. There'll be protesting in the streets, from in favor of the invading force that's army is knocking on our doors. Let's hope country is countrywide. Let's hope there's enough real men embedded in enough states to take care of business. Let's go, Brandon.